Stellas Biology High Level students. This is the scope that I prepared for you to follow for April examination. So just follow it and you will be fine. So don't worry about perhaps not getting the right information, but once you follow this one, you'll be fine. Chapter 1, as per this scope which I have sent to you, you can collect it at the school, yeah, supplementing this video clip. Okay. Chapter 1 is going to be about characteristics of living organisms. Okay, so that is section 1, characteristics of living organisms. Chapter 2, classification. Chapter 3, diversity of organisms. Section 2, you have the macroscope, cell structure and organization. Chapter 3, levels of organization. Chapter 4, the passage of substance across the cell membrane. And then you have diffusion, osmosis, and active transport. You have enzymes, chapter 5. Chapter 6 is nutrition. Under nutrition, you have nutrients, plant nutrition, leaf structure, mineral requirements, photosynthesis, nutrition in humans, nutrients and diet, alimentary canal, digestion, absorption. Transportation is chapter 7. Then you have transport in plants, transport in humans. The heart, blood vessels, the defense against diseases, respiration, aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. And then you have breathing is chapter 9. Chapter 10 will be excretion in humans. Chapter 11, coordination and response. And then you have coordination in plants, coordination in humans, where you have hormones, and then nervous control. Then you have drugs. Okay, it's the last topic under chapter 11. The very last chapter we are going to be focusing on for this April examination is homeostasis. Okay, so the rest will come later, but for this examination we are going to end at homeostasis. Let me just try to go through briefly just to guide you on what you need to do, okay, on what to focus on. Under characteristics of living organisms, you should just be able to describe them. Don't try to list, don't memorize them to say you'll be able to list. You should be able to know, for example, what growth means. What does growth means? Not to tell me that there is growth, just tell me what growth means and how it relates to an organism. Classification of living organisms, be able to use the hierarchy, yeah, okay, the classification, the kingdom, from kingdom up to species. Diversity of organisms, be able to use the dichotomous key, binomial system, you for example, be able to distinguish the features that make every organism different from the other one. Okay? Section 2, where we have the macroscope, we should be able to use it. No one will be asking you to label the macroscope, but just be able to use it because you might need it during the examination in the practical. Chapter 2, under section 2, cell structure and organization. You should be able to identify the cell, label them, give the functions, and be able to compare a plant and an animal cell, and be able to give the functions for those differences. Why a plant cell is different from an animal, and what advantage it has. Chapter 3, levels of organization, yeah, relate to the cell structure, tissues, organs, and organs. Passage of substance across the cell membrane. Okay, here you need diffusion, of course, you must know what it is, not just defining it. Osmosis, be able to describe it. Active transport, be able to describe it, especially where it is very, very important in plants and in animals. Okay, you should be able to tell why it is important, active transport, and be able to compare the three of them. Okay, we go to the next one will be enzymes. Under enzymes, you should be able to describe them, and you should be able to relate the pH and temperature. Let me just show you an enzyme. This one will always come in every exam. You will be given a graph like this one. For example, the pH. Then you have rate of activity. Okay. So now with the pH, you might, for example, have level 1, then 7 here. Okay. So you might get an enzyme that looks like that. Okay, with a graph like that. Okay, maybe enzyme A, enzyme B. You should be able to describe what is happening here to the enzyme. When the enzyme is too low, can it be reversed? And when it reaches the optimum pH, what is the rate of activity? You should be able to describe that one. And also when it reaches the upper part, the highest, okay, point, what will happen? Can it be reversed? Okay? What happens if it goes beyond that one, which is denaturization? Once it denatures, okay, can it be reversed? Okay, you should be able to describe that and why. Okay, and why it's not able to function any longer, and why enzyme A is different from enzyme B. So where can I find this? Where can I find the pH of, let's say, 2 and the pH of around, let's say, 8? So you should be able to tell those. Then you might also find the temperature. Temperature, you would have something like that. Perhaps 10, 15, 20, 20, okay? Yeah. Then you have again here a rate of activity. All right. Now you find that this enzyme, the temperature is here. Okay. You must know that these enzymes, when they are here, okay, you know that of course there's no activity when it's here, but it picks up as the temperature increases, it reaches the optimum. Once it goes beyond the maximum here, of course, you know that they are denatured. You should be able to describe from here to there to there. Avoid saying as the temperature increase, the rate of activity increase. There's nothing like that. You must say it unless you must qualify and say only up to the optimum temperature. Okay, the next one, nutrition. Nutrition, this one, you should describe the synthesis of large molecules. Remember? Yeah, glucose, maltose, starch, glycogen, all those ones, how they are formed. Proteins, how they are being formed from amino acids, yeah, to first level, secondary, tertiary, up to the quaternary level, the proteins. The plant nutrition, leaf structure, to be able to describe it, and the features which are inside and why they are there, inside the mesophyll. Mineral requirements, why they are needed, iron, magnesium, phosphate, nitrates, what are the deficiency symptoms? Photosynthesis, yeah, you should be able to describe it and write it in words and in chemical formula. The nutrients and diet, describe the different nutrients and why they are important, and lack of it, what will be the result. And then relate them to a balanced diet according to sex, age, and rate of activity. Alimentary canal, is to be able to know the functions, okay, the different parts and their functions. Digestion, you describe the places where digestion takes place, with the forms of digestion, okay, you have chemical and physical, and why it takes place, where it's taking place, and what are the requirements which are there, okay. Why, for example, we have different pH levels and temperature, where they are taking place. Absorption, so this is where you need the villus. Understand the villus very well, relate the features that make the villus very good at absorbing. Its adaptation, so there are some features which it has, okay, why it is able to do what it does very well. And transportation, in plants, relate the xylem and phloem to their structure and functions, okay, and how translocation occurs. And transport in humans, focus on the heart, yeah, especially the double circulatory system, and relate the heart parts to the functions. The double vessels, differentiate them, okay, and provide reasons for their unique features. For example, arteries and veins and capillaries and arterioles, why are they different? Okay, blood, the different functions and components. The defense against diseases, describing the process of phagocytosis and antibody production. Okay, describing the circulation of lymph, the role of lymph in the defense against. So I want to emphasize here that this phagocytosis, yeah, of course this one happens to bacteria, and antibody production is for each one of them. You should be able to tell from the beginning of infection up to when the infection is gone, what happens there. You should be able to tell that one, okay, from the detection of the germ up to when it is destroyed. The lymph, you must understand that this lymph, it starts as plasma in the blood, forms tissue fluid in the tissues, and then, okay, it seeps into the lymph vessels, then that's when it becomes lymph. Now in lymph, that's why it's made of a lot of white blood cells to kill all those germs. And these germs can accumulate in lymph glands. That's when now the germs are now attacked properly now by the white blood cells, okay? So that's why it is there. And then there is circulation of it and how it returns to the blood through the carotid artery in the neck. The role of lymph in defense against diseases, so that's just what I've just explained. Try to go deeper into that one. Respiration, describing the two types, compare them, why each one is important. Aerobic respiration, of course, we must know the formula and how it occurs, and describe anaerobic in yeast, brewing, bread making, and in muscles. And then we come to breathing. We should be able to describe the mechanism of inhalation and exhalation. Yeah, exhalation, how we take in air and how we take it out. Okay, and be able to distinguish breathing from respiration. They are not the same. Okay, and you should also understand that when you breathe in, we don't breathe in oxygen. Okay, avoid that one because a lot of learners keep making that mistake. As we breathe in oxygen, we breathe in air and we breathe out air. Only that the concentration of oxygen and carbon dioxide differ. Okay, we breathe in more oxygen and out less oxygen. In less carbon dioxide and out more carbon dioxide. So that's the difference. Be able to tell that difference. Excretion in humans, how the nephron functions, understand it, especially high level. This one is very, very important. How the nephron functions, how it filtrates, and how it reabsorbs, and where it takes place. Describe the hormone called ADH, how it affects the kidney functions. Okay. Describe deamination. Okay, why deamination is important here, which is actually to produce urea. So understand that process of urea formation through deamination. Compare dialysis versus kidney transplant. Okay, what are the advantages and disadvantages of each one of them? Coordination and response, describe the production of growth substances in the plant, okay, as regards phototropism and geotropism. Describe hormones in seedless fruit, seed germination, yeah? And then you go to 11.2.1, process of insulin and glucagon in regulating sugar level. So how do we prevent diabetes and how do we regulate it? Describing how adrenaline prepares you for action. What does your body do, okay, to make sure that you survive that danger that you're in, okay? Nervous control, label, sensory, and motor neurons. Describe the CNS, central nervous system, against the peripheral nervous system, PNS. Relate eye parts to their functions as regards accommodation and pupil reflex. So you should be able to do all those things. Drugs. Describe the personal and social effects of alcohol, heroin, marijuana, and nicotine. These are the 4 drugs that we are going to focus on. Okay? Be able to tell them their effect on the person and to the society. In the last chapter, which is on homeostasis, we should be able to describe the role of hypothalamus and pituitary gland in osmoregulation and temperature control, which is actually to keep the internal environment the same. We don't want fluctuations in temperature, concentration of sugars, or concentrations of anything. So it should be within limits. Describe the regulation of glucose in the blood. Very, very important. So that will be homeostasis, and that will be the end of the examination. So I wish you all the best. I think we are going to make it, and you are going to pass, all of you. You'll get level 1, I hope. Okay.